Perhaps each of us carries within a question: how do we know we are walking the right path? In a world full of noise and competition, we often measure right by achievements, by praise, or by recognition from others. Yet there are strange moments when no medal is given, no applause is heard, and still you feel a rare peace, as if mind and soul have finally stepped in unison. Walking the right path does not mean everything becomes perfect, but that small yet profound changes begin to appear. You realize you no longer argue needlessly, no longer race against the clock, no longer cling to things that have run dry. Instead, you choose peace over victory, presence over haste, and loyalty to yourself, even when it comes at a cost. In today's video, we will explore 6 subtle signs, quiet yet powerful turning points, that show you are walking the path your soul truly longs for. This is not a checklist to show off to the world, but a mirror for you to look into and recognize. The right path has never been outside, but always begins within. Are you ready to enter this journey of recognition? Sign 1. Choosing peace over victory. Have you ever fallen into an argument where you didn't even know why you were fighting so hard to prove yourself right? A meeting where a colleague misunderstood you, and instead of calmly clarifying, you strained to make everyone acknowledge you? Or a family quarrel where you knew clearly that silence would calm everything down, yet your ego pushed you to say the final word to affirm yourself? We have all lived such moments, and after every victory, the feeling is rarely peace, but exhaustion and emptiness. For the ego was satisfied, but the soul depleted. And then one day, you notice something strange. In a situation where you would once have raised your voice, this time you simply smile and choose silence. Not because you lack reasoning, nor because you are afraid, but because suddenly you see it no longer matters if you win or not. That small moment is in fact a great milestone, a sign that you are moving in the right direction. Jung once said, "Where wisdom reigns, there is no conflict between thinking and feeling." Silence is no longer a mark of defeat or weakness, but a mature choice. It shows that you are steady enough not to be dragged into the whirlpool of argument, and lucid enough to understand that true value does not lie in proving, but in the ability to preserve inner peace. A mother once shared with our channel that for many years she constantly argued with her teenage son. Each time the boy was stubborn, she would shout, "I am your mother, you must listen, you're wrong." And the boy would push back even harder. Both wanted to prove themselves right. The result, the distance between them only grew. But one day, in the midst of an argument, she suddenly fell silent. She realized she did not need to win against her son. Instead of retorting, she sat down and listened. Strangely, when she stopped trying to prove herself, the boy lowered his voice, and for the first time, they truly spoke with each other. That moment showed her, sometimes peace heals more than victory. In Jung's theory, each of us has a social mask called the persona. It is the image we want others to see: smart, strong, correct. And to keep that mask, we fight endlessly. needing recognition, needing to prove right from wrong. Now, you protect your peace. You choose silence, not because you are weak, but because you will not let mind and heart be caught in a useless spiral. You see the wound behind provocation, and instead of striking back, you answer with compassion. Victory in an argument only brings short-lived joy, but keeping peace brings lasting freedom. You no longer measure your worth by the number of times you are right in others' eyes, but by your ability to live true to your essence. And when you feel that peace, you see clearer than ever. This is the sign that you are walking the right path. When you choose peace over victory, you plant the first seed of inner growth. But this is only the beginning. After you learn to hold peace in conflict, another change arises. Your sense of time itself begins to transform. You will no longer feel enslaved by the clock, but will begin to live in a deeper, freer rhythm, where instead of counting minutes, you learn to treasure each moment. If you too are choosing peace over victory, leave the word peace in the comments below. It will be the secret signal by which we recognize each other amidst the noisy crowd, the souls learning to live true and free to their own essence. Sign 2. Changing how you perceive time. There is a stage in life when people always feel they are racing against time. The clock on the wall ticks like the pounding of pressure. A day passes, you review your task list and see a long line of things undone. Even if you have worked from morning until night, there is still that feeling of not enough. You live in haste, as if always late, as if the future demands more, faster, bigger. And at night, instead of peace, you scold yourself. How much time did I waste today? But when you step onto the right path, a strange shift occurs inside. It is not that you suddenly have more time, nor that the clock stops. What changes is how you experience time within. The inner rhythm slows. You are no longer driven by the ticking clock, but begin to listen to heartbeat and breath. Time ceases to be an enemy and becomes a companion. Walking the right path is when people stop obsessing over the clock, stop living as if they are always late. Instead of rushing, you allow yourself to arrive exactly when needed. Not early, not late. Steps are no longer calculated meticulously, like a controlled plan, but guided by trust in life's invisible rhythm. The value of the journey lies not in speed of completion, but in the deep transformation unfolding along the way. In the past, perhaps your eyes were always fixed on the next milestone. Finish school to get a job, after a few years get a promotion, make money to buy a house, then start a family, then chase further achievements. And so, you never stopped to truly live in the present moment. But when the right path opens, you suddenly see life is no longer just a chain of must-reach milestones. It begins to become a series of moments for presence. You sit with a cup of tea, and instead of thinking about what to do next, you let your mind rest with the flavor and warmth in your hands. You walk, and instead of catching up on the news, you listen to the rustling leaves overhead. Time is no longer a race, but space in which to touch life. I know a young businesswoman, once the model of racing against time. Her schedule was packed to the minute. Morning meetings, lunchtime partners, evening events. She prided herself on maximizing all 24 hours a day. Yet increasingly, I saw weariness on her face. She admitted that despite success, inside she always felt empty. A health crisis forced her to stop. Days in the hospital gave her, for the first time, hours to stare at the ceiling and ask, "What am I really living for?" When she recovered, she changed. Instead of 10 tasks, she focused on what was meaningful. Instead of showing up everywhere, she gave time to family, to quiet meals, to herself. Others said she had slowed down, but she knew, for the first time in years, she was truly living. Modern psychology has a term, subjective time perception, how each person subjectively experiences time. Research shows that when people live under stress and hurry, they feel time rushing, always scarce. Conversely, when people are focused and present, they feel time expand and deepen, though the clock runs the same. Science calls it the elastic time effect. The more present you are, the richer your experience of time. This explains why, when you flow with what is right, you feel you have more time, even though no one has more than 24 hours. Changing your sense of time is like boarding a train. Before finding the right one, you live in constant fear of being late, running, anxiously watching the schedule. But once on the right train, you no longer obsess over departure or arrival. You begin to look out the window, listen to the wheels on the track, and realize that the journey itself is the treasure, not hurrying to the destination. From outside, others may not understand. They may say you are slowing down, missing opportunities, but inside, you know you are living with your soul. Lies in how you live, how you think, and what you sow in every moment. Once, complaining, judging, or joining in gossip may have seemed natural, but gradually you notice that each time something inside dims, as if dust settles on the inner light. The change begins when you refuse these, not from fear of karma or others' judgment, but from sensing clearly that such energy makes you weary, disconnected from inner clarity. A new kind of morality forms, not society's imposed codes, but an invisible morality, honesty with oneself. You know what keeps the soul clear, what makes it murky, and you choose light. It is no longer an effort to appear right in others' eyes, but an inner compulsion, as if the soul has matured and knows what must be guarded. I knew a woman working in HR, surrounded by countless personalities, colleagues complaining, bosses criticizing, employees gossiping. She used to join break room chats full of trivial judgments, thinking it harmless release. But often she left feeling drained. One day she chose silence. When others began gossiping, she only smiled and quietly left. At first, many thought she was distant or pretentious, yet later, positive colleagues sought her out for sincere conversations. She said that since leaving empty talk behind, her body felt healthier, her sleep deeper. And strangely, drama seekers vanished from her life. That is how the outer world responds. When you tend to energy, order around you rearranges itself. In Christian tradition, there is the image of a lamp burning in the temple, symbolizing God's presence. It is not flashy, not everyone sees it, yet it is tended day and night. Ancient priests saw keeping that flame alive as sacred duty. For as long as the light burned, holiness dwelled among the people. Caring for inner energy is like keeping that temple flame. No one sees when you quietly dismiss a toxic thought or restrain yourself from a sharp word. Yet each silent choice is another drop of oil to keep the flame alive, so the inner light never dies. And when that flame is steady, everything around is illumined. Walking the right path is when you stop betraying yourself just to maintain an old image. Once you may have joined every relationship, every party, every comparison. But one day you learn to say no. No longer forcing yourself into meaningless talk. No longer clinging to connections only to avoid loneliness. Choice now is simple. Silence, presence, what truly nourishes. This may surprise others. Some say you are harder to approach, some say you have changed, but you know it is not loss, but refinement. Even the body speaks as an alarm system. Forcing yourself into what no longer fits brings tightness in the throat, fatigue in the body, emptiness afterward. But when you choose what is right, clarity and calm arise. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." When you begin to be loyal to the soul, you turn the unconscious into conscious, making responsible choices instead of surrendering to habit. That is when you realize every act, however small, holds creative power. It can dim you or make you shine brighter. Caring for energy is not selfish, but respect. If the inner light dies, all external value is hollow. But when that light is nourished, not only you change, but all who meet you are lit. That is when your soul has chosen the right path, where a new journey opens. You live not only for now, but sow a different future, where stillness and clarity are the foundation. If you too are learning to care for the invisible, guarding energy, nourishing clarity, like this video. A small act, but a way of feeding the flame, so positive energy spreads to others who need it. Sign 4. No longer resisting avoided emotions. Caring for the invisible is not only keeping energy clear, but daring to enter emotional depths. It is when you stop avoiding sadness, anger, or repressed memories and allow them presence. Walking the right path does not mean all is light. Often, the first thing that comes is waves of long-buried feelings. Tears never cried, anger buried, trauma suppressed. When they return, many think they are regressing, that healing has failed. But the truth is the opposite. It is the sign the soul is ready to face what was once hidden. We once labeled emotions, joy, happiness, excitement we called good, sadness, anger, fear, loneliness we deemed bad and tried to banish. But on the right path, you see that all emotions are messages. They are guests knocking, carrying notes from the depths of psyche. If we drive them away, the note remains, finding another way back, often stronger. Not resisting emotions does not mean drowning in them. It means learning to stay, to be present instead of fleeing. When anger rises, instead of swallowing it or lashing out, you sit and ask, what wound lies beneath? When sadness returns, instead of filling it with work or romance, you allow tears, cleansing the heart. When old memories surface, instead of pushing them away, without cause, no longer seeking relationships to fill voids, no longer living in automatic reactions. You become free. Free from past, from cycles, from invisible walls you built. Not resisting emotions does not turn life rosy, but it makes you truer. When tears fall, you feel no shame. When anger comes, you do not deny it. When loneliness arrives, you don't rush to cover it. You know they are waves, and you are the ocean that holds them. This is the deepest shift. Honesty with self. For no life can be right while you turn from your inner world. Courage to remain with emotions is proof you have stopped fleeing your essence. And here, peace is no longer a distant concept, but lived experience. And when you are brave enough not to avoid emotions, another milestone comes, the inability to betray yourself. Sign 5. You can no longer betray yourself. There is a threshold beyond which you cannot return. It is the moment awareness has ignited and loyalty to self becomes instinct. From then, each time you go against your inner call, it is no longer mild regret, but heavy weight, more painful than any external loss. Once you could compromise, nod reluctantly to please others, cling to a suffocating relationship, or stay silent in an environment dimming your light. But once the soul awakens, such becomes intolerable. Not because of prohibition, but because within you has grown too strong to permit another self-betrayal. Think of a violin finely crafted. When raw, it tolerates rough notes. But once tuned perfectly, even one wrong note makes the wood vibrate in protest. Humans too. Before listening inward, we could live against inner call without much concern. But at higher awareness, each false act, each forced denial, makes the whole soul vibrate in pain, signaling no more. A woman once wrote to the Channel. She worked in media, long enduring competition. Before, she accepted projects against her values for achievement, income, prestige. She thought it was the price. But after illness forced her to pause, she saw what exhausted her was not work, but self-betrayal, saying yes when she meant no, signing contracts she knew wrong, smiling through emptiness. Once she decided to align only with what fit, she lost partners, lost praise, but she regained peace. And strangely, loyalty opened new doors, like-minded partners, work nourishing body and soul. A public example is Jacinda Ardern, former New Zealand Prime Minister. During crises, pandemic, terrorism, disasters, she led not with rigid toughness but compassion. She hugged grieving citizens, defended compassionate governance, saying, "You can be strong and kind at the same time." Her resignation too showed loyalty. She did not cling to power when she lacked energy to serve fully. In a world where power is ultimate prize, her act declared, "No success is worth self-betrayal." With this loyalty, you respect past versions that brought you here. Yet know, you can never return to false life. You cannot step into a dark room pretending joy. You cannot cling to a relationship that shrinks your soul. You cannot compromise with inner falsehood. Others may say you've changed. Some call you difficult, even selfish, but you know, this is maturity. For betraying self is the greatest selfishness. It spreads suffering to you and others. Only when true to the soul can you give fully. Carl Jung once wrote, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." The greatest privilege is not recognition nor success, but to live as yourself. And when this loyalty becomes instinct, you no longer need permission, no medal. You simply are, and that is enough. Yes, loyalty hurts at times. You may leave a stable job, a long relationship, a familiar world, but it is cleansing pain, like pulling rotten roots so the tree can grow. For beyond the loss, what you keep is the greatest blessing. Certainty you are on the right path. For the right path is measured not by outer success, but by absolute loyalty to the soul, where you can and will no longer betray yourself. If you have ever reached that moment of refusing compromise in love, work, or any vital choice, share your story in the comments. Perhaps your experience will be the spark for others learning loyalty to the soul. Sign 6. You begin attracting the right people and circumstances. When you pass the threshold of no longer betraying self, another change comes. You realize you no longer need to force relationships drained empty, nor chase opportunities not yours. The outer world begins to move differently, lightly, naturally, in resonance. This shows inner energy has shifted, and life mirrors it. Before, you may have felt trapped in loops, meeting the same kind of people, taking ill-fitting jobs, entering exhausting environments. Not bad luck, but because inner energy had not changed. We attract circumstances reflecting our frequency. On the right path, change comes from within. Now, when you stop, when you rest in true essence, life comes to you. Right people appear without force. Nurturing opportunities knock when you stop proving. This shows in small details. Fewer meaningless chats, more deep conversations, nourishing bonds. You no longer feel lost in crowds, for resonant souls walk toward you. Even chance moments, meeting someone at a cafe, hearing a timely story, become signs you are on the right frequency. Jung emphasized synchronicity, meaningful coincidences. On the right path, they multiply. You think of someone, they call. You wonder your direction, an opportunity appears. Not random magic, but the universe responding when you are aligned. The key is, you are no longer exhausted from forcing, nor in pain clinging to what is gone. The arrival of right people and circumstances shows life need not be war, but can be a flow you need not resist. And when you live this, you see the deeper truth. It is not luck, but the inevitable result of the journey. The journey of removing masks, facing shadow, loyalty to soul, choosing peace over victory. For when you change inside, the world outside can only mirror it. Then you realize your life begins to move toward goodness, no longer repeating old loops, but becoming a flow of resonance. People and opportunities align, without you chasing. All arranges itself, comes gently, and you need only be present to receive. One walking the right path does not need to prove noisily, nor follow another's map. They are like a traveler listening to their own footsteps, letting each road walked become testimony of inner growth. Not by victory or achievement, but by stillness, honesty, and the ability to let life arrange itself. The 6 signs you have explored are not fixed rules, but mirrors of your own journey, the journey where the soul ceases to hide or compromise and begins choosing resonance as compass. If one day you feel no need to chase anyone, no need to cling to the past, and still your heart is at peace, that is when you know the path before you truly belongs to you. If this video resonates with you, share it to spread the message to those wavering on their path, and subscribe to our channel to continue walking with us. This journey does not promise ease, but it promises the greatest gift, to live as the person your soul has always longed to become. There are moments when we meet someone, from nowhere it seems, yet they bring with them the feeling that we've been waiting for them our whole life. There is no clear reason, no obvious sign, just a feeling that cannot be put into words, as if the deepest part of you has just been touched by someone. It isn't a fleeting emotion, but a quiet tremor from the unconscious, a place beyond logic, but instantly recognized by the soul. Carl Jung once said that we encounter ourselves again and again in 1,000 different forms along life's journey, and sometimes those forms enter our lives as people who seem like strangers, yet cause our hearts to tremble with an inexplicable sense of familiarity. Is that destiny? Or is it your true self speaking, recognizing a part of your soul that had long been forgotten? So, how can you know if someone is truly meant for you? And why does their presence make you confront yourself so deeply? Let's continue to explore these questions through the lens of Carl Jung, where psychology reaches the soul. Number 1. Synchronicity and meaningful encounters. Have you ever experienced a moment that seemed random, yet left you with an inexplicably profound feeling? A sudden meeting on a train, a fleeting glance you can't forget, or a chance encounter that feels like you've known the person for lifetimes? That's not a coincidence. Carl Gustav Jung called it synchronicity, events that occur in meaningful parallel, without any causal connection. Jung first introduced this concept in his seminal essay, Synchronicity and a Causal Connecting Principle, published in 1952. In it, he wrote, "Synchronicity is an ever-present reality for those who have eyes to see." In other words, synchronicity is always around us, for those awake enough to recognize it. According to Jung, some life events can't be explained by conventional logic, yet hold deep meaning for our soul. These moments are not random. They are messages from the unconscious, a resonance between the inner and outer worlds. Imagine you think of an old friend you haven't spoken to in years. That same afternoon, they message you. There's no clear cause, but what strikes you isn't the act itself. It's the feeling, as if the universe just sent you a signal. Or you walk into a new cafe, and a song from your childhood plays just as you're quietly struggling inside. Seen through ordinary eyes, these are coincidences. But for Jung, and for those who have felt it, these are links in an invisible web, where every experience is symbolic and intentional. In matters of the heart, synchronicity often shows up most clearly through fated meetings. You may have spent only a few minutes with someone, yet your heart trembles as if the entire universe whispered, "Yes, it's them." You can't explain why. There's no logical data to back it up, but with a certainty beyond words, that the meeting means something. Jung believed that in such moments, the personal and collective unconscious are working in tandem, sending you a message beyond language. One of Jung's most famous illustrations of synchronicity involved a female patient with mild psychosis, highly resistant to analysis. One day, she described a dream in which she was given a golden scarab. At that moment, Jung heard a light tapping at the window. He opened it, and a scarab beetle, nearly identical to the one in her dream, and highly unusual for that time and place, flew in. It was a moment that broke through her psychosis. Don't dismiss it. It may be a message from the unconscious. It may be a mirror reflecting the part of your soul you've been searching for. And perhaps, through that connection, you begin a journey, not to find someone else, but to finally find yourself. In a world that demands clear answers and hard evidence, Jung reminds us that not everything precious can be explained by logic. Sometimes, the heart understands before the mind can catch up. And it is in those synchronistic moments, when things unfold outside of any plan, yet with astonishing meaning, that we touch the most mysterious and sacred dimension of human life. Number 2. The one who is meant for you awakens the archetypes within you. When synchronicity leads you to an encounter that seems random but carries deep meaning, that is only the first doorway. Those who are truly meant for you do not just appear to give you a sense of connection. They don't simply match you on a rational or emotional level. They are catalysts for inner transformation. And that begins when they awaken the archetypes that have been sleeping in your unconscious. Carl Jung believed that beneath our consciousness lies the collective unconscious, a realm that holds archetypes, ancient spiritual patterns, roles and symbols shared by all humanity. Among them are 3 especially linked to inner growth through deep relationships: the anima, animus, the shadow, and the self. When you meet someone you feel deeply connected to in a way that transcends logic, they likely are the one awakening these archetypes within you. Love is not always gentle. Sometimes it comes like a storm, tearing apart the definitions of who you thought you were. Jung once wrote, "The meeting of 2 personalities is like the contact of 2 chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. When 2 souls connect at a profound level, both are changed. And in that process, unconscious elements, hidden shadows, begin to rise to the surface. Let's begin with anima and animus, the archetypes representing the feminine aspect within a man, anima, and the masculine within a woman, animus. According to Jung, every person carries an unconscious image of the opposite sex, shaped by their experience with parents, society, and ancestral patterns. When you meet someone who stirs deep emotions in you, especially an inexplicable sense of attraction, it may be that you're projecting your anima or animus onto that person. For example, a man deeply in love with a woman may not only be loving her, but also loving the image of the inner woman she unconsciously reflects to him. That might symbolize gentleness, intuition, and deep emotion, qualities he has neglected in his conscious life. That relationship brings those hidden parts to life, forcing him to confront himself. On the other hand, a woman might feel irresistibly drawn to a man who is decisive, intelligent, powerful, someone who activates her animus, the inner energy of logic, action, and idealism that she has not yet integrated. These kinds of relationships awaken the very qualities each person needs to become whole. Jung emphasized, the anima and animus are two archetypes that form a pair, and it is through them that we meet and fall in love. Love, to him, is not just between two individuals. It is an interaction between inner images, between unconscious archetypes, seeking to merge with our conscious self. But anima and animus don't always appear in ideal form. Sometimes you're drawn to someone who causes pain, even obsession, and you can't explain why you can't walk away. These toxic loves might be signs that you're engaging with a distorted form of the archetype, forcing you to look inward and ask what's missing in you. Softness, initiative, the freedom to express. After anima, animus, the next step in this journey is the shadow. The one meant for you not only stirs your heart, but also frustrates you, triggers you, hurts you, and sometimes even scares you. Why? Because they touch your shadow, the parts of yourself you've rejected, hidden, or denied. This could be anger, weakness, desire, or the urge for control. When someone causes a strong reaction in you, don't just look at them. Ask what part of you they're activating. Jung wrote, to confront a person with their shadow is to show them their light. A person of destiny, in the Jungian sense, doesn't come to please you. They come to help you see yourself. And facing your shadow is not easy. It often brings crisis, conflict, and a sense of disorientation. But within that turmoil lies the greatest opportunity to grow, to reintegrate the divided parts of your soul. Finally, if you go deep enough, long enough, you reach the self, the symbol of wholeness, the union of conscious and unconscious, light and shadow. The one meant for you is not just a trigger for archetypal awakening. They are a mirror guiding you toward the inner totality of your being. When the connection is real, even if it passes through storms, it brings you to a new state, not of loving someone, but of returning to yourself. So don't assume that the one meant for you is someone who always makes you feel safe or at ease. They may arrive with challenges, emotional whirlwinds, moments where you question both yourself and them. But that is not a sign of something wrong. It is a sign that you are changing. And Jung stated it clearly. There is no coming to consciousness without pain. In short, meeting the one meant for you is not the destination of happiness, but the beginning of a deep spiritual journey. They don't complete you. anxious in relationships, often triggered by her quiet, emotionally reserved boyfriend. She feels he doesn't love her enough or doesn't care. But if we look deeper, the emotions rising in her are not entirely caused by him. They stem from an unresolved childhood fear of abandonment. He becomes a mirror, reflecting her inner shadow, the small, insecure part of her that still needs healing. People often say love hurts, but no. Love shows you where you've already been hurt. In Psychological Aspects of the Persona, Jung wrote, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. You don't grow by denying the shadow, you grow by facing it." And here's the paradox. The person who causes you the most pain may be the one who helps you understand yourself the most. Not because they're trying to hurt you, but because their presence reveals the wounds you've tried to hide. One of the clearest signs of the shadow is projection, when we assign to others the traits we don't want to admit in ourselves. If you despise someone for being arrogant, you're likely refusing to see that same arrogance in you. In love, this happens too. The person you love may be carrying the projection of your shadow. You see them as cold, when in truth you've denied your emotional detachment. You think they need you too much, when really you haven't acknowledged your deep desire to be loved that fully. In the archetypes and the collective unconscious, Jung warned, the shadow personifies everything that the subject refuses to acknowledge about himself. The danger is that if you don't see your shadow, it will still control you, but from the dark. That's why many relationships fall apart, not because the other person is wrong, but because we refuse to begin the journey inward. Facing the shadow isn't pleasant. It's like standing before a giant mirror where you can't help but see the raw truth about yourself. But the strange thing is, when you dare to do it, healing begins. The rage doesn't explode the same way. The anxiety softens, and you start seeing yourself and the other person with more humanity. One true story from Jungian therapy tells of a man who was often accused by his partner of being too cold and emotionally distant. Through therapy, he realized that he was overwhelmed by emotions because he had grown up in a family where expressing feelings was discouraged. When his wife complained, he didn't know how to respond, but her distress also revealed her wound, having been emotionally abandoned by her parents in childhood. They were projecting their shadows onto each other, and both were suffering. But once they saw it, healing didn't come from fixing each other. It came from understanding and embracing their shadows. Carl Jung emphasized, wholeness is not achieved by cutting off a portion of one's being, but by integration of the contraries. You can't become whole by eliminating your shadow. Only when you integrate it, when you love the ugly, the scary, the imperfect parts of yourself, can you truly love someone else. And when you meet the one who makes you face that shadow, know they didn't come to make you comfortable. They came to help you grow. True love is not a place to hide from your real self. It's a space where you are tested, reflected, confronted, and changed. If you're in a relationship that makes you feel both love and fear, deep connection and the urge to run, don't label it toxic too quickly. Ask yourself, what am I learning about myself in this relationship? Because only when you dare to face the shadow does the light begin to appear. And in that very moment, when you stop running from yourself, when you stop loving just to fill a void, when you stop demanding the other person be perfect, you begin a different kind of love. Love no longer becomes a need. It becomes a journey of awakening, and that person, the one meant for you, is no longer your other half. They are your companion on the path to becoming whole. Number 4. The feeling of wholeness. being yourself. When the shadow has been confronted, when pain no longer makes you run, but becomes the material through which you understand yourself, what happens next is almost a natural unfolding. You begin to feel like you can simply be yourself. No more defenses, no more pressure to be worthy. And if the relationship remains, if it endures after both of you have passed through collisions, then in that place, in a gaze no longer clouded by fear, in a breath no longer hidden, you begin to enter what Carl Jung called the process of individuation. Jung defined individuation as the process of becoming the most complete version of oneself, or as he wrote in 2 essays on analytical psychology, individuation means becoming an individual, and, insofar as individuality embraces our innermost, last, and incomparable uniqueness, it also implies becoming one's self. When you go through a fated relationship, a connection born not from desire, but from the deep layers of the unconscious, what you are truly given is not romance, but a space to explore and express your authentic self without fear of being hurt or rejected. Picture this. In most relationships, we unconsciously wear a mask, a socially accepted role. You want to be loved, so you become easy to please. You fear losing someone, so you become agreeable. You don't want to be hurt, so you build walls. But in a true relationship, where soul recognizes soul, those masks start to fall away naturally. You no longer feel the need to be better to keep the other person. You no longer feel more clearly, enter yourself more deeply, and move closer to becoming a whole being. Fated love does not remove challenges. It only changes how you face them. Instead of seeing conflict as a mistake, you begin to view it as an opportunity to understand yourself more deeply. You stop expecting the other person to understand you instantly. Instead, you learn to understand yourself first and to share that truth honestly. Over time, what forms between the two of you is not just a relationship, but an energy field that nourishes mutual growth. Someone once asked Carl Jung how to know if they were in the right relationship. He didn't give a direct answer, but he did write, Wholeness for humans depends on the ability to own their own shadow, and their anima or animus, and their ego and their self. A right relationship doesn't come to fill your emptiness. It comes to reflect all that you are, including the parts that are still incomplete. And if, beside this person, you feel no need to hide anymore, if you can breathe, speak your truth, and sit in silence without guilt, then perhaps you've touched a kind of love that was always meant for you. The journey of individuation is not isolation. It is becoming your true self in a world where someone bears witness, and the one who is meant for you, if they come from the depths of the unconscious, won't try to change you or fix you. They will stand beside you as a mirror, a companion, a witness, showing you that you don't need to become anyone else to be worthy of love. We live in a time where everything is optimized, even love. We learn how to present better, be more attractive, and be less emotional. But Jung offers the opposite path. Become the truest version of yourself, even when it's messy, because that's where your vitality and depth live. And then, love that comes from the right place, where soul recognizes soul, won't just accept you. It will open for you. In the end, when you feel fully yourself in love, without defense, without performance, without fear of abandonment, that's not just a sign of real love. It's a sign you've entered the deepest stage of inner maturity. And as Carl Jung said, the goal of the individuation process is the synthesis of the self. Every time you are allowed to be yourself in a relationship, you are not just loving, you are stepping closer to the whole being you were born to become. Number 5. Loving the right person equals returning to yourself. When you move through the process of individuation within a relationship, when you learn to stop defending yourself and begin living in alignment with your authentic being, one profound truth becomes clear. Real love is not the place where you find happiness in another person, but the place where you are awakened to return to yourself. If individuation is the journey toward wholeness, then loving the right person is the deep contact that initiates that journey from within. It's not about searching for a missing half to complete you, but encountering someone who helps you realize you were never incomplete. You had simply forgotten who you are. Carl Jung once wrote in Memories, Dreams, Reflections, "Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakens. And in true love, the other person doesn't lead you anywhere. They simply stand there, with their gaze and their presence, prompting you to look within." It's no coincidence that the deepest relationships often arise during the most difficult times. The person you truly need isn't the one who always makes you laugh, but the one who can make you cry, not because they hurt you, but because they help you access the parts of yourself you've locked away. These are old wounds, fears of abandonment, shame, feelings of unworthiness, and the longing to be seen that was never answered. The right person doesn't avoid those things. They bring them to the surface with sincerity, with their real presence. No games, no masks. There's a story often shared in Jungian therapy groups. A middle-aged man, after years of outward success, falls into personal crisis. Everything in his life seems fine, except for one thing. He doesn't feel alive. He says the woman he now loves is unlike any of the ideal types he used to chase. She's not especially striking. She doesn't overly cater to him. Yet every time they talk, he feels stripped bare. She shows me the part of myself I buried my whole life, the part that's afraid, that's small, that's never been faced. With her, he's no longer a businessman, an ideal father, or a successful man. He's just a human being trying to understand himself, and in her eyes, He sees not the image he worked so hard to build, but the raw, fragile, truest version of who he is. That is the power of a transformational relationship, where love isn't a reward, but a mirror reflecting your deepest essence. Jung wrote in The Psychology of the Transference, the meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. True love doesn't keep you in a comfort zone. It melts you down and recreates you at the same time. The common idea of love is full of expectations. The other person should make you happy, make you feel complete, make you feel loved, so you're never lonely again. But Jung warned that when we love to fill a void, we're unconsciously asking the other person to carry our unexamined unconscious. That isn't love, it's avoidance. In The Undiscovered Self, he wrote, loneliness does not come from having no people around, but from being unable to communicate for you to keep living inauthentically. They don't come to hand you happiness as a gift. They come to tell you, it's time to return to yourself. And if you're ready to welcome them, not as salvation, but as a fellow traveler on your path to self-discovery, what you receive is not a perfect relationship. What you receive is the truth. And from that truth, healing begins, not through anyone else, but through you. When Carl Jung said, the most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely, he wasn't just describing a personal journey. He was describing the very essence of true love. Loving the right person is not ultimately about finding someone to help you build a perfect life. It's about meeting someone who makes it impossible for you to keep living inauthentically. Someone whose very presence doesn't just make you feel attractive or safe, but makes you feel called home. Home to yourself. There's no logical explanation strong enough to justify why someone makes your heart echo the way they do. But you can't analyze it, but you feel it, with a vague but undeniable certainty. It is a deep resonance between two souls, not taking place on the level of conscious thought, but from the depths of the unconscious. That person isn't the perfect missing piece that completes you. They are the sacred companion who holds up a mirror so you can see yourself clearly, honestly, more fully than ever before. Fated love does not promise a smooth path. It challenges you, pushes you beyond your comfort zone, and exposes the parts of yourself you've tried to hide. But precisely because of that, it can become a profound spiritual journey where you don't just love the other person, but gradually become your truest self. So, if at any point in your life you've felt a connection that transcended ordinary understanding, if you've met someone who made you question, unravel, search, break, and be reborn, believe in that. Not everyone is your destiny. But when destiny truly arrives, you won't need to ask. You'll know. Not with your mind, but with your soul. And Jung would smile if you understood this. The greatest love is not the one you find in someone else. It's the love that leads you back to yourself and teaches you to accept all that you are. If you've experienced a relationship like that, one that didn't just move you, but awakened you, share it in the comments below. What did you learn about yourself through that love? And do you believe in destiny? Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss the next journeys into the soul, guided by the insights of Carl Jung. Society often holds the prejudice that a woman living alone is a symbol of loneliness, of emptiness, that stems from the absence of a man's presence. In that judgmental gaze, a woman's independence is seen as a flaw, an abnormality that needs correction. But is that solitude truly a manifestation of deficiency, or is it a bold journey toward inner completeness? Carl Jung, the renowned analytical psychologist, once pointed out that loneliness does not arise from having no one by your side, but from being unable to connect with what is truly important to yourself. In the silence of living alone, a woman finds the space to confront herself, to touch the deeper layers of her soul that the chaos of everyday life often neglects. The absence of a man does not equate to the absence of love or value. Rather, it is an opportunity for her to explore and perfect her independent self. Therefore, a woman living alone is neither rebelling against society nor lacking in affection. It is a strong and deliberate choice, a courageous act to seek completeness from within, to break free from social molds, and to reclaim the truest value of her being. Number 1. Breaking social prejudices about women living alone. For centuries, society has always associated the image of a woman with specific roles, being a wife, a mother, and a caregiver for the family. These social norms are so deeply ingrained in the subconscious that anyone who lives differently is judged and criticized. A woman living alone is often perceived as unfortunate, lonely, or even as a failure in the eyes of society. The image of the single woman is inevitably linked to the stereotype of emotional deprivation, of missing out on family happiness, as if the absence of a man is a flaw that needs fixing. These prejudices stem from traditional thinking that a woman's value primarily lies in serving her family, becoming the spiritual pillar in the roles of wife and mother. Therefore, when a woman chooses to live alone, she is immediately labeled as lonely or incomplete. People assume that she is rebelling against society, trying to prove something through personal rebellion. But the reality is entirely different. Carl Gustav Jung, with his profound studies in analytical psychology, once emphasized, "I am not what happened to me, I am what I choose to become." This is a truth that society often fails to acknowledge when discussing women who live alone. This choice is not the result of emotional deprivation or an inability to maintain a relationship. It is a conscious, intentional act to focus on personal growth, to seek and reach deeper inner values. In a modern world where women are increasingly self-reliant in terms of economy, education, and social status, living alone has become a symbol of freedom and strength. They no longer need to rely on men to affirm their worth. A study by the Institute for Family Studies in the United States indicates that the number of women choosing to live independently is rapidly increasing. This not only reflects economic changes, but also a psychological awakening, as women realize that independence is not a sign of loneliness, but a manifestation of inner strength. While society continues to hold on to the stereotype that single women are pitiable, a significant number of women have boldly affirmed that living alone is an act of freedom, a personal declaration. One exemplary case is the story of the famous writer Virginia Woolf, who once stated in her essay, A Room of One's Own, that a woman must have money and a room of her own if Solitude is for me a fount of healing which makes my life worth living. Talking is often a torment for me, and I need many days of silence to recover from the futility of words. For women like her, Han or Thao, solitude is not sadness. It is the freedom to understand oneself, to self-heal, and to find the true meaning of life. In these spaces, women have the chance to explore their own identity, to connect with the true values they long for. They do not need to depend on anyone to feel whole, nor do they need a man to affirm their worth. Solitude allows them to look back at what they have been through, the wounds that need healing, and the dreams that deserve pursuit. A woman living alone is not lonely. It is a conscious choice to become whole from within. In conclusion, solitude is not a deficiency, but a space for women to recreate themselves, to face the hidden unconscious parts, to develop creativity, and to connect with their inner strength. In the light of Jungian philosophy, living alone is not meaningless loneliness, but a journey into the depths of consciousness, where one not only finds oneself, but also discovers absolute wholeness. Have you ever experienced a time living alone without feeling lonely? Did you find peace, freedom, and completeness in that silence? Share your feelings below, because maybe your experience could inspire other women on their journey to rediscover themselves. Number 4. Transforming feminine archetypes in solitude. Imagine that deep within the subconscious of every woman, ancient archetypes are lying dormant. These are timeless images etched into the collective unconscious of humanity, waiting to be awakened when a woman steps into her journey of freedom. When she chooses to live alone, breaking free from societal constraints, these archetypes begin to rise, powerful and full of authority. Carl Jung called this the awakening of archetypes, the deep psychological symbols within each of us, not only shaping behavior, but also reflecting the truest essence of the soul. One of the most prominent archetypes is the Artemis archetype. Artemis in Greek mythology is the goddess of the hunt, representing freedom, wildness, and independence. Artemis does not need a man to protect her, nor does she need anyone's permission to pursue what she desires. For women who choose to live alone, the Artemis archetype awakens powerfully. They begin to realize that freedom is not something to fear, but an infinite space to explore oneself. No longer bound by social constraints to marry at a certain age or fulfill the roles of wife and mother, they begin to rediscover passions that were once forgotten. Imagine the image of a 28-year-old woman who decides to live alone after ending a long-term relationship. Before, she always believed she needed to find a good man to build a family, to complete her life. But when she began living independently, she discovered her love for traveling alone, climbing mountains, and experiencing treacherous trails. She shared that standing on the peak of a high mountain, looking down at the vast scenery, she felt an extraordinary sense of freedom, a feeling she had never experienced before. The Artemis archetype within her awakened, stirring courage and independence that she once believed she did not have. She began her journey of inner awakening when she no longer depended on others to feel complete. When asked if she felt lonely, she smiled and replied, "I don't need someone beside me to feel whole. All I need is a book, a cup of morning coffee, and long journeys. That's enough for me." That is when the Artemis archetype within her was awakening strongly. She did not need the protection of a man, nor did she need society to validate her worth through a wedding ring or a perfect family. Carl Jung explained that archetypes are not merely psychological symbols, but images stored in the collective unconscious, existing throughout history and reflecting timeless qualities. The Artemis archetype represents liberation from social structures that bind women to fixed roles. In modern society, women like Anne are living in the spirit of Artemis, strong, free, and entirely in control of their own lives. They do not seek validation from the outside, but build a world of fulfillment through personal experiences. Artemis is also a symbol of protecting oneself and the vulnerable. In mythology, she is not only the goddess of the hunt, but also the protector of young women, guarding their purity and dignity against male domination and societal control. When a woman lives alone, she learns to protect herself, no longer relying on a bodyguard or a protector. Instead of waiting for safety from someone else, she learns to use her inner strength to stand firm against difficulties. It does not stop at Artemis. Solitude also awakens the oracle archetype, the symbol of wisdom, intuition, and the ability to connect with spiritual depths. Carl Jung believed that when people detach from societal noise, they have the opportunity to hear their inner voice most clearly. In this journey, women not only find strength, but also open the door to connect with their deepest intuition. Another woman living alone, aged 36, shared her journey after a divorce. Previously, she always relied on her husband to make big decisions, from buying a house to work-related matters. When she was alone, she began to learn how to listen to her intuition, the voice she once ignored for fear of making mistakes. She started meditating daily, focusing on her breath and listening to what her inner self was telling her. She realized her intuition was far more accurate femininity. Instead, she lives more fully with her true essence, with the deepest parts of her soul that were once obscured by societal prejudices and constraints. Carl Jung said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." And for women, living alone is not just an act of freedom, it is a journey back to the core of the self, awakening powerful and authoritative archetypes that lie dormant within their consciousness. Living alone is not a manifestation of loneliness or an escape from love. It is a powerful and conscious choice for a woman to seek completeness from within herself. Amid societal prejudices about the need to attach and depend on a relationship to become whole, A woman who chooses to live alone is making a bold statement. Her value is not defined by someone else loving her, but by how she loves and understands herself. For women who choose to live alone, they are walking this path, the path of individuation, where they connect with the shadow, awaken their internal masculine energy, animus, and reach the powerful archetypes in their consciousness like Artemis, the oracle, and the wise woman. Every choice of independent living is a step closer to their truest self, unshackled by any pressures or expectations from others. This journey is not only about self-discovery, but also about liberation from the invisible limitations society has imposed on them. A woman living alone does not reject love. She chooses to love herself first, so that when true love does come, it will be the harmony of two complete souls, not the filling of a void born from lack. And on that path, she learns to protect herself, to heal her own wounds, to build her own value without needing validation from anyone. Carl Jung affirmed, "Solitude is for me a fount of healing, which makes my life worth living." For women, living alone is the silent space for healing, for growth, and for rebirth. Therefore, if you are choosing to live alone, do not let prejudice or external pressures hold you back. See it as a sacred journey to become your true self, to connect deeper with the unexplored parts of your soul. Because only when you truly understand and love yourself can you step into any relationship with wholeness and inner freedom. If you feel inspired by these stories of self-discovery and inner strength, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss out on more profound and meaningful content. Let's explore the mind together, unlock the subconscious, and find the truest version of ourselves through the philosophy of Carl Jung. Turn on notifications to be the first to receive these inspiring insights every week.